So guys, greetings from Houston, Texas. Mike coming at you from AT Astro, Area of Truth, Aspect, and Relationship Astrology. Today we're going to be going over a little bit more of a complex subject, but one that you really will find yourself having a hard time gathering any information for on the internet, so I thought I'd go ahead and share my knowledge on the subject. We're going to be delineating a progress chart, what progress charts are, and how you can use them. So, a progress chart is it outlines the different sort of struggles and changes that a person's going throughout their life, and it sort of describes what the person's alchemically turning into. See, the natal chart may describe how you decided that you were going to survive in this world after you were born, but people change, people grow. Everything is constantly changing. If you've ever taken acid, you may have come to the realization that the only constant in life is change. So, by paying attention to certain particular aspects and by learning to kind of filter out all the unnecessary parts of the progress chart that will pop up, you can really pinpoint particular themes that are coming through in a particular person's life at any given point in time. So, let's take a quick look. Alright, so this is a progress chart for a particular individual. This particular individual is going through quite an interesting time in her life. She just got divorced. She's experimenting with same-sex relationships. She's currently caught between two people at one time. She can't quite decide which way to go. Well, you take a look over all of these different planetary aspects and you can sort of get a good idea of what's happening. So, the first thing that you want to pay attention to in the progress chart is the moon. The moon is critically important because it moves faster than any planet on the progress chart. The way progressions work is for each year that goes by, the birth chart is moved forward one day. So the sun, for instance, over here, and it happens to be coming up on the north node, that will move 1 point per year. This person originally was born a Capricorn, but over time, the sun has drifted its way into Aquarius. The moon moves actually relatively fast. The moon will start at one spot and it'll take 28 years for it to go fully around the progress chart. So every 2.5 years or so, it will change signs. Some of the most important events that you can see in a progress chart are the sun changing signs. And this happened for this individual quite a while ago, actually, probably when she was about 14 or so. And the moon changing signs. This person's moon went into Gemini, which also happens to be the place of the individual's natal moon, about a year and a half ago at the most, probably about a year. On top of that, the moon entered into the exact same spot about 10 months ago where it was when she was born, which is significant because as the moon works its way around the progress chart, you seem to go through all the different phases and flavors of life that are described by the natal chart wheel. And then when it gets back to the spot it was at when you were born, you sort of kind of have a new beginning. It's kind of like you've gone through this, seen this, done that. Well, let's take what we learned from that 28-year cycle and carry that over into the next 28-year cycle. It's sort of like a Saturn return in a way, but a lot more pleasant. We also see that because the moon moves faster than the other planets, it makes aspects much more quickly, and the aspects dissolve much more quickly too. Of particular importance, what you're seeing here, this inconjunct aspect being made from the moon to Pluto, and this inconjunct aspect being made over here to this little asshole, Neptune. On top of that, Neptune at 13 degrees is making a loose sextile to Pluto at 17 degrees. So what we have in here is a progressed yod. Progressed yods are sort of an internal drive unleashed by both of these planets. The energies from these planets are being focused upon the moon like a laser beam. This individual is experiencing some sort of profound psychological change that's either being triggered from within, or it can be triggered from individuals that walk into this person's life while the yacht exists. Because human beings can act like permanent transits to the progress chart. You'll also notice that I added transits to this chart as well. If you don't know how to do that, just scroll up to the top of the page, and on any chart you can put add transits. Just make sure when you're creating the progress chart, you set the date that you would like to see those transits for, correctly on the specific day you're looking at. In that way, you can go back to the day a certain event happened. You can pull up the progress chart, you can enter the transits, and you can see if you find anything specific that would equate to something significant happening on that particular day. Now, when a Yod formation occurs in a progress chart, people can act like transits, but also planets can act like transits from actual planets can set it off if one of the 3 points of the Yod is kicked off. In this particular incident, the Yod was set off by Jupiter down here. I know it's not very clear, but it's there. Jupiter making an exact conjunction to Pluto. And in progressions, transits to progressed points have to be exact. There's no orb allowance for these progressions because you're looking for planets that trigger certain events. And on this particular day, and this particular transit, a particular romantic interest of importance stormed his way back into her life. Yes, it was me. But that in one way would trigger, events that would manifest themselves because of the Yod appearing in this person's chart. Now you look at the sun. First off, a very major progression is when the sun crosses over from one sign into the next. Like for instance, I'm a Capricorn and I'm 26 years old. So it started over here and it's right over here. But it's about to start working its way over into Aquarius, and it'll do that around the time I'm 30. So around the time you're 29 and you can feel the energies within your, your conscious ego beginning to mold and change and take on Aquarian traits, you'll actually begin to feel this. When people's sun changes signs in the progression, they can feel the changes coming from without, it's coming from within. It's causing their consciousness to evolve. So it's considered a very, very, very powerful very, very powerful progression. You'll also see right over here, the sun is about to hit the north node. Now, progressions move so slowly. Planets like Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, the north node, Jupiter, they're not gonna move almost at all forever. Like you'll be, 95 years old and Pluto will have moved like a degree or two. So you really only want to focus on the faster planets. Mercury moves sort of quickly. The sun and the moon move the fastest. The moon moves by far the fastest. But when the sun starts to work its way towards the north node, and a lot of people will go their entire lives and not have this progression. It triggers a change, a deep change within that person. That it's sort of like, take for instance this conjunction that's occurring, and it's actually going to become exact in June. But this square here exists between the North Node and Pluto. And for any of y'all who have ever studied the nodal axis, square Pluto to the North Node, well, it'll also be square to the South Node as well, just because of the nature of the axis, but it creates this psychological block for this individual to go about fulfilling their karmic path. It almost, because that aspect appears in the natal chart as well for this particular individual, so it creates a soul sickness, a skipped step in the past life, so to say. Well, with the sun about to transit the North Node, it's really going to, God damn it. There we go. It's really going to set off this inward transformation where the individual is going to sort of be like, well, fuck it. I've felt that I needed to go this way my entire life, but something inside me has been holding me back. Well, it's time for me to not be held back anymore. And it's almost in the form of an epiphany. In my opinion, this might actually end up being a coming out party for this girl, but that's just my personal opinion. We'll have to see how that plays out. That's the importance of having case studies in astrology. Now, The ascendant will also change signs as well. This person's ascendant's going to move into Virgo pretty soon. The ascendant moves, however, rather slow. So the ascendant moving into Virgo probably won't happen until somewhere about next year. And as the progressed moon switches house and sign, different areas of life will be highlighted. So it's in, it's in Gemini now. It's also the home placement of the individual. So they're going to be, pretty much on the go pretty often, moving around a lot, making friends, communication. It's just going to be a big thing. Also, it's going to be fixated in the career or in the public eye, depending on what the person does for a living. Then it'll move into Cancer. And then the home will be of much importance in creating a comfortable environment and emotionality and the craving for intimacy. Then it'll move into Leo, and then the creative spirit will be emphasized, and then so on and so forth as it goes around the natal chart. You can actually find articles about those particular progressions on Google. But and you can also progress composite charts. You can progress Davison charts, though I really wouldn't do that. And actually progress composite charts I'll be doing another video for as well, because those can show current themes arising in a relationship, and they can even pinpoint a potential rough spot or breakup. So I hope this was helpful. I appreciate taking the time, or I hope y'all appreciate me taking the time to go over this with y'all guys. But I do offer consultations. Just feel free to contact me somehow, and I'll be happy to work it out. And until next time, bye.